Go ahead. Turn it up. It's the Record Machine Show with your host, Jimmy Howe.
The snowcaps cry to feed the stream. The rivers rise, transition dreams. The harsh blue sky is painted over. Hear the drum singing from a distant peak. Walk in black fields of failing night. The grinding wheel burning white. The dance won't hold. The towers crumble. Diamond boats floating out of reach. Rain, rain, rain all day and blow the clouds away. Rain, rain, rain all day and blow the clouds away. And blow the clouds away. Rain, rain, rain all day and blow the clouds away. Rain, rain, rain all day and blow the clouds away. And blow the clouds away. In darkened rooms, sleep will come. Solitude, no war is won. The castle walls will give no cover. Beneath the seas, asleep at dawn's pale beam. Rain, rain, rain all day and blow the clouds away. Rain, rain, rain all day and blow the clouds away. Rain, rain, rain all day and blow the clouds away. Rain, rain, rain all day and blow the clouds away. And blow the clouds away.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from the band Hummingbird Syndicate, singer-songwriters Lynn Shipley and Jon Macey to the program. John, how you doing?
James. And Lynn's here too.
Hi, James.
How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Very good, very good. It's a little cool today, but other than that, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Where are you?
I'm in North Myrtle Beach in South Carolina.
Oh, it's cool there. Come on up here, James.
It's like about 20 right now here
Where are you
in
at?
Boston.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's like about 20 degrees out. It's sunny.
You guys near Fenway?
Well, we're not right when we're in Waltham, which is a town right outside of Boston.
Oh, okay. Are you Sox fans?
Used to be.
Why used to be?
Well, I think that's kind of a long story, actually, but
Because they suck. I'm
Yeah.
a Cubs fan myself.
Oh, okay.
I'm really a Yankees fan.
Whoa, ooh.
Wow, you could get killed for saying that.
Ow.
Well, because I'm from New York.
I'm leaving now.
My father's all from New York, but I was a Red Sox fan for a while.
Yeah, they had some good teams, in 2004, 2008. They had some great teams. I'm a Yankee fan, so I was very sad when they blew that lead in 2004.
I was there at the game.
Yeah, that must have been something, huh?
I was there at the yeah. I almost left because remember it was late in the game.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I almost left, and then I went back up there, and then they drove in the run. Yeah, I know. So even though my joke was always this: I'm a Red Sox fan when I live up here, but when they suck, then I can root for the Yankees.
You know what they call that? A front runner.
yeah. There's always a Yankee guy, but now I'm a guy again, not the Red Sox. But anyways.
So the two of you are from Boston area? You grew up there your whole life?
No, neither of us. I grew up in the Midwest.
Oh, wow.
I
Whereabouts?
grew up in Gary, Indiana.
Nice. The home of Michael Jackson.
Me and the Jackson 5.
Right.
Yeah. And what about you, John?
Originally Binghamton, New York.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's nice up there.
Yeah, and I've lived in Manhattan, but my mother's from here, my father's from there, so we've lived in both.
Very
Well, we've
cool.
set here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I've been here much longer than I would live there as well. So I moved out here in my early 20s, and I never went back.
Very cool. Guys, tell me about your musical backgrounds. When did you get involved in music?
So a long time ago.
We have to give away our age to talk about that.
I mean, so the two of us, so I've always been a band leader kind of guy, whether I was living here in Boston or living in New York, ever since the 1970s, actually, and in a variety of different bands. And Lynn and I met probably about, 13 years ago, something like that?
2007.
Yeah, and so we formed a partnership, a songwriting partnership, which is really the key to the whole thing that we do, is that we're a songs band first. I mean, we're really a songwriting team with a band. That's basically how we look at it, as opposed to that the band is the band, if that makes any sense, which is one of the reasons why we call it Hummingbird Syndicate.
Uh-huh.
Because it is kind of a syndicate. We've had a lot of different musicians play with us on different albums that we've made. And, it's a songs first kind of idea, as opposed to being sort of trapped in a band format that then sort of dictates what you do, if you know what I'm trying to say, as opposed to the other way around. So we're kind of eclectic, for better or for worse,
Mm-hmm.
the fact that we're a songwriting team and looking at that first.
Okay.
So it does cause us to be more eclectic than, say, your average rock and roll band might be.
Nice. Now, what instruments do you play?
So I play a lot. I mean, I play guitar, bass, keyboards. I can do programming. I do all. I mean, I'm a recording engineer for the band too, and the two of us produce the records.
Wow.
And Lynn and I sing all the songs, and we trade off leads, and we obviously do 2-part vocals, and then we have other guys singing. So we have a lot of times 4-part harmonies going on.
Who are some of the other players?
Well, right now we have Mike Pyle, who's a guitar player, who was in the band The Shivers. He's from Milwaukee. It's like nobody's from Boston, actually. I don't know if you ever remember them. They have kind of a cult following. The Shivers from Milwaukee, a power pop band. So Mike Pyle, the guitar player. Steve Gilligan's a bass player. He's from Connecticut, New England. And he played in a band
Stompers.
called the Stompers around here that was quite popular for many years. But I've also been playing with Steve for a long time. He's been in a lot of my bands.
Mm-hmm.
And Clark Goodpaster, he's not from here either. Where's he from? He's from someplace, I forget where he's from.
He's a Midwesterner as well.
Yeah, another Midwestern guy. And he played in a band called The Dark, which was a Boston band. He's played with a lot of people around here. But yes, so it's funny. So none of us are really actually born and bred Bostonians. It's kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
But Boston's like that anyway.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, in pot.
It really is.
Yeah, a lot of people been moving to Boston lately. I've talked to a lot of people over the last 6 or 7 months that are from that area now.
There's a lot of musicians. It's interesting because it's not really. People tell us sometimes, and I'm starting to believe it, that if we played the kind of music that we play and write the kind of music that we write, in a lot of other parts of the world, or even the country, that we might do better.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not really a melody harmony type of town. It's really a harder rock kind of town. And then there's Berkeley.
Okay.
So that leads to a lot of, jazz and more improvisational stuff. But a lot of people a lot of musicians end up here because of Berkeley. But there's not, there's a big music scene and there's a lot of people from a lot of different places. But there's not that many people writing 3 and 4 part harmonies with, lyrics forward and the kind of music that we do.
Very cool. Now, I believe every band or artist is influenced by someone. Who are some of yours?
Well, I say, well, you want to go first?
No.
She doesn't want to go first. I mean, the influence is pretty broad, but I would say in general terms, and this is one of the reasons that Lynn and I bonded, we both like really over-the-top pop music. I mean, like 60s pop. And we both like hardcore country music, like the really stuff. George Jones.
Traditional country, right?
Yeah, traditional country, Ray Price, Hank Williams. I know those two things sound like they're very different than each other, but they're not really. The fact that she was another person that could see that, I knew she'd be a good partner because, and then, for me anyway, as far as rock music goes, Bowie.
Yeah, so Bowie, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Definitely Bowie, definitely Bob Dylan, I mean, of course, the Beatles and the Stones, but I really like the California 60s bands like the Byrds and Buffalo Springfield and those types of bands, and those were a huge influence on Hummingbird Syndicate. So it was sort of like Buffalo Springfield had lyrics written by Town Van Vant and a female singer, then that's kind of us.
No Fleetwood Mac in there?
Oh, yeah, totally Fleetwood Mac, Tom Petty, Nick Cave. I'm a big Nick Cave fan in terms of lyrics, especially.
Mamas, Papas?
Mamas and the Papas,
Yep.
Absolutely. Cow Sills. I mean, come on, the Monkees. All that stuff, that, Jingle Jangle, the stuff I heard at AM radio and WLS in Chicago, basically, all that kind of stuff, yeah.
That's kind of what I think what Lynn's referring to. Boston definitely is more of, I don't know what you call it, like power punk, garage rock, whatever words you want to use to describe music. I always have trouble describing music. But it's more in that kind of scene, I mean, as far as rock and roll goes. And like Lynn already said, there's a lot of world music here. It's a very cosmopolitan city. And Berkeley culture music definitely is attracting people from all over the world. So you have that element here. But we sound more like a California band from the late 60s or early 70s.
Yep.
I mean, lyrics are more modern than that.
Yeah.
And recordings sound more modern than that. But I mean, I think the energy, the vibe of us is that. And we really do stand out around here.
Talk about the name Hummingbird Syndicate. How did you guys come up with that?
I'll let Lynn tell that one.
We get asked that question a lot. We were, John and I played briefly with another band. We formed another band with 2 good friends of mine, one of my former musical partners, called Adam and Eve. And we were, so John and I, we both used to work downtown in Boston, and we were having a songwriting session one night, walking through a really pretty, rundown, trashy neighborhood, and saw semi-tractor, the tractor part of the tractor trailer in a parking lot, abandoned parking lot, broken glass, and the cab was painted like baby blue, and in fancy scroll in the door it said Hummingbird Syndicate. And we looked at each other and said that'll be our next band name.
Wow.
So then when it came to that, we looked it up, and we started getting serious about another band. We did a Google search to see if anybody was using it, because it seemed unlikely that they weren't. And we discovered that it was the name given to the syndicate that owns an unopened gold mine in the Southwest.
Wow.
So the Bureau of Mines, or the Bureau of Land Management, has records of a group of people, the Hummingbird Syndicate, who own rights to several mines in Arizona and New Mexico that have never been opened.
Wow.
So that's what we learned about the name we gave our band.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah.
It's a mine from quite some time ago, too.
The 40s.
Yeah. So why this truck had Hummingbird Syndicate written on it, that's all a great mystery to us.
Yeah.
But it also makes sense in the sense of the sound of the name, because Hummingbird, of course, sounds musical, it sounds melodic, sounds upbeat. And Syndicate does describe, the sort of way we interact with the musicians. And so, so it seemed like a perfect name for us. But that is a true story. It's kind of a funny story, but we never saw that truck again either.
Yeah, why in Boston with the, it's just a weird coincidence.
Meant to happen, I guess.
Apparently.
Your latest album, Sound and Light, available now on Bandcamp. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Jump in.
Yeah, so we've made, now this is our 3rd album. We also made a single, actual 45 on vinyl. So we've had 3 now. This is the latest one. recorded during what I like to call the dark days, the last couple of years, right, when everybody was so isolated. So we wrote and recorded those songs during that time. Not that they're about that at all, because they're not. But there's definitely an element, I think, of, and Lynn writes most of the words, I write most of the music. It's not quite so cut and dry as that, because I write lyrics and she writes music, plus we write the songs together. It's not separate from each other. Not like, say, Elton John and Bernie Taupin or something like that, or some traditional lyricists, which, write that way, but that's not how we do it. But either way, the melodic ideas and the sort of vibe of the record, I think, is really very influenced by the fact that we couldn't play live. We never played any of those songs live ever, right, because we couldn't. All our gigs were canceled, just like everybody else in the world. And, we had to just settle down and recording. And we of course, nobody knew how long that extended. Yeah. Right. The restrictions were going to last. Obviously, nobody knew that. But as we started really understanding that, then we just said, okay, then we're just going to give up on the idea of playing live and just record. And we hadn't really done that before on the other two records. So I think that's a big influence on it. It's very much of a studio album, very symphonic in a lot of ways. I know that sounds like a funny word to use, but it is. The arrangements are kind of symphonic, and there's multiple pieces to some of the songs. Not that I don't want to sound like we're prog rocker, because we're not, obviously, but there's definitely that element in there. And, so that's how that came about. I mean, it's getting a lot of good feedback.
No, it's a great album. I've listened to it several times. Now, how do you guys approach songwriting? What is your creative process like? We do. We do a number of different. We have a number of different approaches to writing together, and it varies depending on where we're both at in the creative process. But we do a lot of what I call live writing, where we really sit down together, and a lot of times we'll write an entire song in one session, just sitting in the same room with each other. And so Jon's a constant, spigot of incredible ideas and melodies and chord structures. He's a super prolific writer, and I'm a fairly prolific writer, but not like him. And so he's always got, I got this chord structure, I've got this combination, let's listen to this, what do you think of this? So we'll choose something we want to work on, sit down, and Jon will play the basics of it. And I usually quickly want to know what the mathematics of it is. In other words, what's the actual structure, the verse, chorus, bridge structure, how many lines, syllables. And once I have the math of it, I can start applying words to it, and Jon just keeps playing. And a lot of times Jon has some sort of scat lyrics or a sound, a rhyme scheme that feels right. And I usually respect that and go with that, because I think that's always there's always some truth in that in terms of how a song is coming out. And occasionally Jon will take a lyric of mine and write a song to it. And sometimes I'll bring a whole idea. I play the most minimal amount of guitar you can ever imagine, which is almost at all. And so I'll sometimes just sing, what I know that a melody I want, and bring it to Jon, and then he flushes that out, and then we'll work together on it until it's done.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's important is that, again, going back to the songwriting team versus a traditional band idea, is when we're doing this, we actually don't know which one of us might sing lead.
Right.
Or something, we do a number of songs where we both sing lead, which I really like those songs, and we kind of trade off the vocals, or we sing like 2-part lead. Well, a lot of songs where one of us is the lead singer, but the fact is, when we're writing the song, we're actually not looking at it from that point of view. And the other thing we're not looking at in the beginning is the band arrangement. So really coming purely from a songwriting perspective, and we tend to do multiple demos. I mean, I think one of the great things about working with Lynn is she's a real good editor. I mean, you've been an editor of, at work, like editing proposals and reports. Right. And I mean, she's an extraordinarily good editor, actually. It's good because, like she said, I tend to be an inspirational sort of songwriter, in the sense that I've always got something cooking. It doesn't mean they're always good, if you know what I mean, but I've got ideas.
And I'm the one who never minds telling him when it's not a good one.
Well, No, but it's true. I mean, but it's true. It's a good balance, and also to cut things out or to well, let's kill that part. And I think it's really helpful for me because I certainly can write songs by myself, and I've written plenty of songs by myself in my life. But I like it better because it definitely raises the bar. I mean, big time. And like Lynn also said, there are times because Lynn also writes poetry. There are some times when. And we did this a couple of times during the pandemic because we actually couldn't even get together. She lives in a different town, so we were far apart. In the beginning, remember when nobody could get together? I mean, so to kind of keep it going, I was saying to her, well, can you send me some of your poems? And then I would look at them and try to turn them into songs. I mean, they weren't really songs, they were poems. And she actually has written song lyrics in song lyric form. Not so much on this last album, but I mean, so there's a variety of ways. But ultimately, like Lynn said, it always winds up the same way in the end. The two of us sitting together, regardless of how it started, it always ends up the same way. The two of us sitting together, typically I'm playing acoustic guitar, and we're sitting in a room singing the song, playing the song, listening to the song, and that's the ultimate time that the song is finished.
Yep.
Nice. This podcast is going to feature 2 of your tracks, Blow the Clouds Away and Gracefully.
good.
What's the story behind those two?
Super.
Yeah, so Gracefully is the one that we've gotten a lot of airplay on. I mean, it's interesting, the word airplay, I guess I would put it in quotes if we were on film, because a lot of airplay these days is internet radio, right? All over the world, Gracefully seems to have caught
Gotten
people.
some legs.
So that's a perfect example of what I was talking about, how without singing about a pandemic, which we were never going to do that, the idea of an existential type song, and in writing the song, all I had, because I had a lot of that music, was the word gracefully. And I don't know, it's kind of an odd word for a song. But I could hear it, like, its existence in a lot of ways is very graceful. We had both read Moby Dick. I don't know how familiar you are with Moby Dick.
Yeah, I read it.
The ending, where the ship sinks, the whale sinks, the lifeboats say everybody's gone. And more or less, the author says at the end, and then the sea rolled over like it had for the last 5,000 years. So it was all gone. But the ocean goes on, the world goes on. There's a gracefulness to time. That's what I was thinking. Now, that's a hard thing to put into a song, for sure, especially a pop song. So I kind of say that to Lynn. She's looking at me funny.
Yeah, like gracefully. What am I going to do with that?
And I think she did a great job. The lyrics are great. They're very existential lyrics, and they capture exactly what I was talking about without me actually writing the lyrics. So that's a really good example of our songwriting partnership. And then Blow the Clouds Away is a little different.
Right, Blow the Clouds Away. Yeah, so Jon calls me up one day.
Again, because we weren't together. Remember, we couldn't be together.
And he says, you hate when you hear this on the phone from, your creative partner. He's like, don't reject this idea right away, okay? I was like, okay. So he says, I didn't have any lyrics, and I was looking through, but like, this is old poetry. Like, from when we first met each other, I gave him, a little chapbook of kind of, kind of nature-based poetry for whatever. So he has like 6-8 poems or something. I haven't looked at them in years. I haven't thought of them in years. And he goes, well, I took that folder of poems of yours and I created a lyric out of it. And I said, well, which poem? And he goes, no, all of them. So I was like, no, we're not going to do that. That's not going to work. And then he played me the song, and I thought it was pretty good, actually. So then we got to the chorus part of it, and then it's got this kind of cow sillsy, Blow the Clouds Away, this multi-part vocal. I thought, oh well, that actually kind of works. So that's how Blow the Clouds Away came about, with me saying, there's no way that's ever going to work. Yeah,
I actually went through those poems, and again, I was frustrated by the fact that we couldn't get together and we couldn't write. So so we were just coming off the last album when all this happened, so we really didn't have any new songs yet. And so I said, I'm going to sit here. It took me a number of days, actually, not that I had much else to do, and to sit here and just go through all her poems and try to make a story out of different lines from different poems. And that's exactly how that lyric came about. Yep. I mean, she tweaked it when she actually heard it, but yeah, I mean, I think that's one of my favorite songs too, and we have a video on that one. everywhere.
It's on YouTube, right?
Yeah, it's on YouTube and wherever else. So yeah, and and then our drummer, unfortunately, our drummer Randall Lee Gibson IV, who's the drummer on the album, died suddenly.
Oh wow, sorry to hear
Yeah,
that.
Almost a year ago.
and so that video is kind of the song is obviously not about him. He played on the album, but we wanted to pick a song to make a sort of a video tribute to him. And that video is, if you look at it, there's a lot of footage of him playing with us and recording. And we synced it to the song.
Very nice.
And it fits the song. It fits the song. So, yeah, so that's, that was another kind of a...
Yeah, that knocked us down a year ago. We really didn't know what to do after that happened. And it was very sudden. He just wake up one morning and, we had just finished the record. We were getting ready to think that maybe COVID was, relaxed enough that we'd be able to get out and play. And he was super enthusiastic guy, a lot of ideas, really a cheerleader of sorts. And we really, we fortunately did, get back on our feet and get a new drummer. But that was a low point for us this past year, definitely.
Wow. Well, that's a great way to pay tribute to him with that video, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's, it's good because it's not maudlin. It's not a maudlin. It's actually a tribute that's it just shows how energetic and upbeat the guy actually was.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, got to hear, he came, and he heard the final mixes of the album, but, sadly, he never heard the mastered, released version. He heard the mixes, but of course they weren't mastered. The thing wasn't out yet. So, yeah. So anyway, so that's Blow the Clouds Away, which is actually the next single.
Uh-huh.
So that's the one we're going to promote right after the holidays.
Very cool. So I guess I picked the good one.
You did.
That's awesome. Yeah, I listened through the the whole album a couple times, and those two really I really enjoyed them. They were my favorites on there. So I'm like, I'm gonna put these on the show
Super.
now. Do you guys enjoy shooting or making the music videos as much as writing and recording the songs?
Well, I don't know if Lynn likes it as much as I do. I actually like it. I find it creative, and I think it's fun. And it's challenging too, to come up with something that's cool, representative of the song, but not stupid. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Videos are funny things, and you got to think of ideas. We're about to have I know we had Gracefully out as a single with no video. So in perfect timing, we'll have a video on Gracefully coming soon. So we had a video on Blow the Clouds Away, but it wasn't out as a single. Now we have that as a single, and Gracefully was out. Now we'll have a video on Gracefully. So there you go. We'll have a video on. I'll send it to you when it's out. It'll probably be out in January.
John's, I personally have to be dragged kicking and screaming into videos, but John's, will, Final Cut comes up and he will just learn how to use it. And I'm not a technical idiot and I'm not a Luddite, but the amount of time and effort that is required to learn new software, especially that complicated stuff, is not something I would do. I just probably would never do it, but he does it. He's like, I can teach myself to do this. I watched him, teach himself Pro Tools and then Final Cut Pro. And so it's, I really admire that, but it's not my style. But he has ideas. I contribute where I can. I contribute my boyfriend, who's the videographer.
Nice. Now, do you guys have any shows coming up that you'd like to talk about?
The next show is not until February.
Which is a club that just got slammed by a distracted driver driving his car into the building.
Yeah, so we've had, we've done
Wow.
probably 3 or 4 shows in the fall. Again, because, between COVID and then getting finally back and then Randall dying very abruptly, very suddenly. And then we had to find a new drummer that set us back. So we finally started playing again in the fall. And now we're booking shows going into the spring. But it has been hard, honestly, to get traction again.
Yep.
We've been out of the scene for 2.5 years and, things changed. The bookers changed. The clubs changed. A lot of clubs closed. And so we're getting back on the track. So we have a show on February 11th at a place called the Square Root in Roslindale. I did get hit by a car, but we're still hopeful that that show, and we'll have some other shows coming up after that.
Nice. What are your other plans for 2023?
We're in the middle of writing a new album, first of all.
Okay.
Yeah. We're always recording and writing, always. So we're already, because we have Like I said, we have the new drummer. We also added a keyboard player. His name is Paul Zablonsky, and he's we never had a keyboard player in the band. I always played keyboards on the records. There's not a lot of keyboards, but I've been playing them. But we wanted to start having the keyboards on stage, so I couldn't do that and play guitar, obviously. So we finally got a what I would call a real keyboard player, which is adding quite a bit to the new album. So the new album will probably have more piano on it because he's a really good piano player. I'm just sort of a songwriter, piano player kind of guy. Good enough.
Yeah.
Really good.
He's really good.
Yeah. So that's going to be an influence on the next album for sure. And yeah, so we're recording it. That's what we've been doing today, actually, while we're waiting to talk to you. We're working on songs.
Wow.
We're also Jon and I also have partly because of that love of traditional country and folk and stuff like that. We've always fooled around with a more acoustic sound and a lot of songs that are really more contemplative and acoustic based stuff. And so just the other day we finished a song that we started years ago. We finally finished it, and it turned out to be, a Civil War ballad, which is not exactly what I think either of us really expected. I think we're really, trying to create a second type of act that'll be more acoustic based, probably more pared down, cocktail drum, maybe that kind of thing. And part of that is that's music that we also love, but also there's not a lot of, there never were a lot of clubs. The clubs in Boston, in the Boston area, there's not that many of them, and a lot of them never reopened after COVID. So there's a lot of musicians and a real competition for shows because there's more performers than there are places to play, and bookers can just ignore you if they want to. So you sort of make yourself, you open up your possibilities in terms of venues. If you don't have to go on stage with 6 people and a full kit of drums, and so I think we're slowly kind of moving into a secondary, more pared down act.
Yeah. So in the next album, we'll probably represent that more than we have so far on the other albums. Right. The idea is we'd have 2 versions of the band, essentially. One that would be a big version that we could play big clubs and where it's louder, more of a concert band, and then the other would be more like a folky band. But we have never recorded any of those types of songs, even though we've had them.
Right.
Or if we've written songs like that, we've always done them in full band arrangements. So now in the next album, one of the things we're definitely going to do, like Lynn was just saying, is record that sort of really pursuant acoustic we're got songs on here that are rocking songs too. So, it's not like we're going to abandon that. We're not. It's just we're going to sort of, like I said at the beginning, James, because we come from the point of view of songwriting, for better or for worse, we're very eclectic.
Yep. And,
I know it's sometimes hard to put a finger on us because of that. But I mean, at this point in our lives, that's what we're doing. So I think people that really appreciate songcraft, arrangement craft, it's pretty old school in that sense, like us,
Nice.
And I think that's our audience. People that like that kind of thing.
Yep.
Release date? Do you have one?
But no. We probably wouldn't come out for a year.
Okay.
We'll be recording straight through the spring into the summer. Probably put it out next fall.
I'd say probably in the fall.
Yeah. So but the goal, and we're still right in the middle of promoting this album.
Sound and Light.
Doing interviews, doing radio shows, pushing it on radio, interviews, newspaper, whatever, everything we can.
Nice. That's the way to get the word out. Now, do you guys have a website you'd like to promote?
Well, we use the Bandcamp website.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just hummingbirdssyndicate.bandcamp.
How many releases you got up on there?
So 3 full albums and a single. It was I mean, I know it's funny. A single these days is one song, but we're thinking...
We made vinyl.
We made a 45. But you can buy a digital version of it. You can just buy the download. So you can buy a CD version of it, or you can actually buy the vinyl. We still have vinyl. So, and then we have the 3 albums, which of course are CDs, also downloads, all in Bandcamp. That's what we're using as a website. Well, obviously we got Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all that stuff.
YouTube.
Yeah, Bandcamp's a great site. For people,
Yeah.
looking to buy music that don't necessarily want physical copies. I mean, get the digital downloads, especially people who live in other countries, because it costs them more money, like just to have it shipped. You know what I mean? It's like you just download it yourself and burn it to a CD if you'd like.
Yeah, totally.
And I like Bandcamp because we can put up 24-bit WAV files for the downloads.
Right.
The higher quality.
Yeah. So I mean, because we're on everything. We're on Apple, Spotify, everything. The whole thing that everybody's on. But some of those, they are compressing it to some degree, and they're lowering the decibel level of the volume to even it out with everything else. So there is some sound manipulation that those sites are doing.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's used to it. I'm not complaining about it. I'm just saying that's what it is. Whereas on Bandcamp, we can load up whatever we want, and then the person can choose on their download what level of resolution they want on the file. So you can go right with the WAV files, or essentially master files, or you can do MP3s, whatever, because not everybody wants master files. But I mean, so if somebody wanted the high resolution, that's actually a higher resolution than CDs.
Right.
So for people that can actually play something at that resolution, that you can get it.
Yeah.
If you download a Mac or something, you can play those files.
Yeah.
So I really like Bandcamp for that reason. I mean, it did get bought out by some mega corporation, so hopefully it stays good.
Yeah. Now, is there anything you'd like to mention that we didn't talk about today?
Listen to our music, buy our records, give us a shot. We have a lot of videos on YouTube. I think that's the other thing then probably to mention.
Yeah, YouTube, you can,
And the videos are all on Bandcamp too.
Okay.
Another great thing about Bandcamp is you can put up all those videos. So they're all there too. Lyrics are on Bandcamp. But not everybody goes to Bandcamp. That's still a limited audience. Whereas obviously everybody goes to YouTube. So all our stuff is on YouTube, including stuff that doesn't have a video. It's just the audio with the picture of the album cover. Every single song we've ever released is on YouTube.
Plus, we've done over the years. We've participated in a couple of compilations. We did a Woody Guthrie song, which I actually think is one of the best things that we've ever done. And so that's up there. And we did a Bowie compilation, and
Rolling Stones.
Yeah, that's right. That's a great song.
Yeah, we did "Child of the Moon" by the Stones.
Nice.
So those are all right. So if you go to YouTube, because we don't control.
There's a video for "Child of the Moon."
Yeah, we don't control the audio. Those are on somebody else's record company, but it's all on YouTube.
Right.
That's
So
awesome.
there's plenty of stuff. There's probably like 40 videos
Nice.
up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, YouTube's a great marketing platform.
It is. Yeah. I mean, we have Facebook, and we're on all the social media. That's the other thing I have to be dragged kicking and screaming into. John handles all of our social media, but like you can post your gigs on Facebook, and that's in terms of not having an actual website, that's the only every other platform gives you video, photo, sound, so you don't really we don't really need anything besides Facebook to promote gigs.
Right. Well, I want to thank you guys so much for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it, and I enjoyed the conversation. And I think this album is great, and I'm looking forward to hearing the new one when it comes out this year.
Super. Thank you so much, James.
Well, we really appreciate your
very much
interest in us, because obviously in this time in the world, it's very difficult to
rise above.
Right. Yeah. So any sort of it's sort of like the message in a bottle idea, right?
Yep.
You just never know. Going to hear it, right? You just never know. So this is great. We're really enthusiastic about this.
Your site's really great, by the way. I love the way it looks, and there's just something that really pops about it.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you.
And it's like like sometimes I'll scroll through blogs and podcasts, and it's like nothing. It's not presented in a way that really grabs my interest. But when I went to look at your site, I was like, I really want to hear that band. I really want to know about that band. So that's a tribute to you, because in a jaded world where we're constantly making our own music, it's just as easy for us or for me to get sort of get my head down and not really be paying attention. So I appreciate that you're doing it, not only because you're helping promote us, but also it's an opportunity for me to listen to some stuff I don't know anything about.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I put a lot of work into that site. I designed it myself.
So you can see there's a lot of work
Yeah.
on that site.
That's really good.
So
It's
yeah.
really
So we can thank Sal
Sal
Baglio
Baglio. Yeah.
for connecting us with you. He's a long-term friend of mine.
Great guy.
Yeah, and I've been friends with Sal for a long, long time. We have a lot in common in a certain way. You know, he's a very much of a songwriter guy.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And, you know, him and I have that. We're always, him and I text each other constantly. It's funny about the music business and promoting songs, and he'll send me songs. I send him songs. It is kind of funny.
Plus, they wrote a bunch of really good songs together when they had a band short-lived called the Bittersweets.
Nice.
Yeah, years
Really
ago.
good songs.
Yeah. So I thank Sal because he's a very energetic promoter of his music. So he helps me out. He tells me about stuff, and I'm happy that you were willing to do it. That's great.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys coming on the show. I had a great time chatting with you guys. And if I don't talk to you before the end of the year, I wish a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year too.
You too, man.
Same to you, James. Stay in contact with us.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep in touch because, like I said, I'd love to have the two of you back on when the new album comes out.
We'll
Great.
definitely do it.
We'll absolutely do it. We'd
Yeah.
love to.
All right, we'll talk soon, all right?
All right, bye, James.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
There's only one way to be, and 1,000 different ways to see. From the cities to the wild frontiers, from a moment to a month of years, all the artifice just disappears. It doesn't matter if you're early or late. You're staring down the barrel of fate. You stand naked at the crossroads and wait. A wave rolls over the sea gracefully. The way it was meant to be. Peacefully. Gracefully. Just between you and me, between the devil and the deep blue sea, there's a million definitions of free. If a cloud can hold an ocean of rain, and the sun can drown a man insane, it takes a heart to stop a hurricane. Starlight turning the key gracefully, rising from the sea peacefully, gracefully.
Machine Show is a weekly radio podcast produced by Jimmy Howell Productions. All rights reserved. For information regarding distribution or adding this podcast to your website, please visit our contact page at therecordmachineshow.com to submit your request. Thanks for listening. See you next time on The Record Machine Show.
The Record Machine Show.